Welcome back to the news today. This is 101. Rabbi Michael Melchior is a descendant of 7 generations of rabbis in Denmark. He's also a former minister of social and diaspora affairs, and these days a social activist who has made many efforts to build bridges, not tunnels, between Israelis and Palestinians in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Rabbi Melchior, thank you very much for coming.
I'm pleased to be with you.
Rabbi Melchior, you know, I will ask the first question straight ahead. What did Israel do wrong this time in this current operation?
I don't know what we did wrong. That's, I would say, like politicians do, although I'm not a politician today. That's not the question. I think our basic problem is that we have no strategy. We don't know what we want. I think that we have the total right to defend ourselves. And, you know, just in these hours we have the people from the south demonstrating here in Tel Aviv, and nobody can't sympathize with their cause. They've lived for 14 years in the hell of the rockets falling in from Gaza. And I think that there are very clear lines of what is right and what is wrong, also in looking just at the picture now. But the problem is to go one step back and to see, what is the strategy? What do we want? What do we want to happen in Gaza? And what do the Palestinians want? And what does the Palestinian leadership want? / here in this case, what does the Hamas want? Because, of course, a big part of the responsibility also falls on the Hamas. Also, they don't know what they want. And that's part of the tremendous frustration here, because they could easily transfer, instead of being the problem here, being part of the solution. And there was, I think, a certain hope when the Palestinian unity government was created. I was very much against the Israeli decision not to negotiate with them. I thought that it was a tremendous mistake. I think now Netanyahu is starting to understand that it's a mistake. And the fact is that he is negotiating with them. Not only negotiating with them, he's putting them as part of the solution now. He's hoping that they'll be a part of the solution because there is no other solution.
Explain to me how come. Explain to me how come Israel is always saying in each and every chance that it has that it will not negotiate with a terror organization. It will not discuss with a terror organization. It will not do peace with terror organizations. And right now, the talks in Cairo are, yes, at the end of the day, with the terror organization.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about talking with the Hamas. That's true. We always do things which are exactly against what we say we want to do. That you'll have to ask Netanyahu about. I can't answer that question. Why do we always strengthen Hamas in the final end? Maybe I have some answers for that also, but that's more on the conspiracy level. I don't want to go on. But when we come up with the solutions now, which the cabinet is going towards, we want the Palestinian unity government to take over leadership role in Gaza. That's our declared negotiation tactics in Cairo, which is exactly the same unity government, which because of that, the creation of that, we stopped the negotiations with the Palestinians just a few months ago. And therefore, what I'm saying is, we need to create a situation, I think, strategically, if I was to decide, and that is what I'm also working with, the same way as we today do not have wars anymore with Arab states. We are in a situation where the whole of the Arab world says that it wants to live in peace with the states of Israel. Through the Arab League and through the moderate Arab states, we have also big parts of the Islamic world today saying the same. I think also this war has made it clear for more and more people in the Arab world that there's no point in these wars.
But Rabbi
So
Melchior,
we need to make that strategy clear and say clearly, okay, we defend ourselves now in this situation, but we also give you a strategy for a solution. We give you an option where you can choose. If you want an option for peace, we're willing to do that. We give you an option for peace, for justice, for freedom, for the Palestinian people, but we're not doing that. That's the problem.
But more than that, it's like, we know that the battle between the Palestinians and the Israelis is not only about land. It's not only about who did what and when. It's also the battle of narratives. It's also a battle of a state of mind. It's also a battle of education. It's also a battle of changing the way of how people think about one another. And this is something that maybe in the last few days, in the last months, it seems like it's impossible right now, because when the Palestinians, when the Israelis are always asking why they're not teaching their children like we are teaching them, why they're not seeing the situation like we're seeing the situation, how can you, when at the end of the day a small child is coming back and not finding its home and finding only destruction, how can you even start talking with this boy and telling him that the other side has a good side also?
Well, that's nearly impossible to do. And don't forget, I mean, you know that just as well as I, that even here inside Israel, the Jews and the Arabs have been watching two totally different wars here. And the narratives and the gap between the population has just grown so immensely during this period. Therefore, what is needed, and I think it's possible, I don't think it's impossible, because I have on my table, around my table every day, everybody. I spend the whole afternoon talking to friends in Gaza and hearing their story and their frustration, and they want a solution. They desperately want a solution. They don't want a new round. They see the destruction around them. And therefore, we can't, it's a question of narratives, and we need to be inclusive towards everybody who wants to be around that table. I believe that the vast majority of Israelis want to be around that table. I believe that the vast majority of Palestinians want to be around that table. I even know that there are very strong internal debates going on in the Hamas during these days about being around that table. It doesn't surface in the public debate because we really don't know what's going on amongst them. But I know from my conversations with some of these people that some of them are having very, very second thoughts. I mean, they know that they could have obtained from the first ceasefire, which Israel accepted, they could have got exactly the same as what they're getting now. And therefore, all the destruction was so unnecessary. So some questions are being asked. People are not stupid. People know what's going on. It's true that we dig into our own narratives, our own pain when there's war. But after war comes peace. Even in the big stories of Salah ad-Din. Sure. Salah ad-Din, okay, who was the big warrior and the big hero. After he finished his war, he made a religious peace. And he was supported by all the big religious authorities with the peace in Ramle. He made a peace with the Christians, and this was a big religious peace which was supported by all the religious authorities. I believe that we have a chance. We can't exclude anybody from the table, but a lot of responsibility is upon the leaders to dare, just as they dare make war, they also have to dare to take that step and make peace, and include everybody who has the courage, has the guts to sit around that table and not to dig into all the arguments, who started and who was to be blamed for this in the past, but to build now something in order to build the future together, because we're two peoples here.
I could not end this week in a better way. The way that you need to have courage to have war, but you need also to have courage to have peace. From the Jaffa Port, Rabbi Michael Melchior, thank you very much. Have a great night. Have peace.